I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the 5 clans that comprise the Kulin Nation, and in particular elders past, present and future. I'd also like to thank the organisers, Ellie Hogg and her incredible team that have kept the momentum going behind this issue for such a long time. I don't think that there's a question anymore about whether there's consensus opinion on whether or not we deserve equal rights as far as marriage is concerned. Gays, straights, lefties, righties right across the globe are recognising that love is love and that all people should have the right to choose to marry. And governments across the globe are falling into line. It's not a question of if anymore, it's a question of when. I'm joined today at the rally by my 2 sisters, one of whom I haven't found yet. Kamari, if you're around somewhere, please put your hand up. Sam's down the front here. This will be the first time that I've been together with my 2 siblings for 33 years. And we have all come together today to get behind this cause. My sister is a Christian minister up in Townsville, and I think that it's an incredible testament to the fact that this is not a gay issue. This is an issue of equal rights. This is an issue where gender should not be the thing that is fundamentally affecting the rights for people to choose to marry. It's always a great honour to be given an opportunity to speak in a public forum, and generally when I get an invitation like this, I try my very best to give voice to the people and the perspectives that may be overlooked. In this instance, a great example of this is the injustice that is experienced by intersex people. A decision to have neither M nor F on their birth certificates means that an intersex person can't marry at all. When I sat down to write this speech, though, I realised that in this instance, the political could not possibly be more personal. So with the support of my wife, who unfortunately can't be here today because she's working, I'm going to share our story. And this is a story that until today hasn't been discussed in a public forum at all. It sounds like a cliche, but when I met Sarah, I knew from the minute that I saw her that she was my one true love. There has not been a solitary second since then that I have ever questioned that. I'm a pretty non-conventional character in a lot of ways, but I'm also a conventionalist in some ways as well. Ever since I was a little kid, I dreamed of being a husband. And when I met Sarah, I knew that this was the person that I wanted to marry. I wanted it for a number of reasons, partly to create a container of support for our relationship, for the family that we wish to bring children into, and also because for me, it is the quintessential romantic gesture. It's also one of the few rites of passage that resonates for me. Having gone through gender transition, it became, by default, a privilege that I acquired. I was criticised by some people, and I was faced with having to look at whether or not us not getting married was going to get marriage equality over the line. And we ended up following what we felt was right for us, and very deliberately included a declaration to that effect in our ceremony. But here's the kicker. As you all know, in order to get married in this country, you need 2 birth certificates with opposing sex markers on them. And to get that document changed, trans men are required to endure invasive and potentially life-threatening surgery. For some people, and for differing reasons, that surgery is not an option, and I happen to fall into one of those categories. But you can also provide a passport to get married. The surgical requirements to get your sex marker changed on your passport is different. So I had a male passport, but not a male birth certificate. We went ahead and got married on a technicality. We wanted it so badly, and we just hoped and prayed that it wouldn't get picked up in the system. And I told myself at the time that the validation of the state wasn't of consequence. It was about my commitment to Sarah. And that was true at the time. I know it's another cliche, but my wedding day was the happiest day of my life. It surpassed my wildest dreams. It's like a lot of things. You can only have concepts about what it is until you actually go through it. And upon going through it, I understood so completely why this ritual and rite of passage was so important. It changed something in me forever, and it changed something in us forever. And it strengthened my resolve that it should be the right of any couple that chooses to go through that, to be able to go through that ritual. I will never forget the day that the letter came in the mail from births, deaths and marriages. I write to you concerning your marriage ceremony. The Marriage Act 1961 states that a marriage means the union of a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others. The registry holds birth registration entries for both you and Sarah, and your genders appear on the register as female. Therefore, the marriage celebrated is not a valid marriage and is not registered. I have informed the marriage celebrant to cancel the entry in the celebrant's marriage register. The marriage certificate issued to you on the day is to be returned to the celebrant for destruction. Yours sincerely. I told myself, oh well, we knew that there was a chance that this might happen. I told myself state sanction was not what this was about. I told myself that it didn't matter. She was my wife and I was her husband and we were married. I held on to that rationale like my life depended on it. And at the same time, I spiraled into a massive depression. It wasn't until I had a therapy session around it a couple of months later that I understood just what this had done to me. When I was actually able to go to that place in myself, I realised how fundamentally I and we had been devalued as a couple, how I had been delegitimated as a man, as a transsexual, as a human being. And the hardest part was that I had held the preciousness of that gift of legal union in my hand for a short time, only to have it taken away again. That delegitimisation was so core that I was afraid to tell people what had happened. And that internalised shame is the key reason that I've chosen to share my story with you today. The legal status of our marriage was revoked because of a ridiculous inconsistency between state and federal legislation that denies me a right that's being afforded to other trans men. But the point is that it feeds into a legal framework that is designed to prevent same-sex marriage. So I have chosen this day to stand up and say that I will not feed into a system of inequality by hiding my story as though it's something to be ashamed of, as though our love of each other is the problem, as though your love for each other is the problem. It's taken me quite a bit of work to get back to a place of empowerment around my marriage. She is my wife and I am her husband. The fundamental value of it got located exactly where it should be, from within the love that inspired that enormous commitment from within my heart and from within my love for this woman. And there is a piece that we won't be able to restore until this legislation is changed so that gender is no longer a consideration, period. Last month, we lodged our report to the United Nations Human Rights Commission to challenge this legal absurdity. I still have my marriage certificate. They will get it out of my cold, dead hands. And just for the record and the cops and anybody else, I'll send it on a slow boat to China, so good luck with that. What I want to leave you with is this affirmation. Marriage is such a beautiful experience. It should be the right of any person that chooses to embrace it, regardless of your sexuality, regardless of your gender. We will have our day. This thing ain't over, not by a long shot. I'd like to welcome to the stage Peter Evans-Taylor and Mars Cooper. We're going to do a song for you, and the relevance of which I guess will be pretty self-evident. It's a crowded house song, Don't Dream It's Over. are lost, but you'll never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes here, they come. It's a good war between us, you know they won't win. And now I'm towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. In the paper today, it tells of war and of wish, but you turn around and tell it to me, babe. Dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes here, they come. To build a wall between us, you know they won't win. Shadows ahead, and now we're clearing the roof. Get to know the feeling of liberation and release. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes here, they come to build a wall between us. You know they won't win. Taylor, Mars Cooper, Paige Phoenix, happy equal love day.